Had a very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair. This was done for a different reason. This was done right after the Civil War. This was for the babies of slaves. And what's happening now, people are building businesses around it. From wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it was supposed to work. It's a disgrace. They're buying their way in, and we're not going to let it happen. So, Steve, if you will, please.
Yes, so today the president signed these two executive orders here relating to birthright citizenship and birth tourism. As the president mentioned, the 14th Amendment was passed exclusively in the aftermath of the Civil War so to ensure that the children of slaves would be citizens. It had no other meaning and purpose outside of that. And that's been clear, obviously, since the day that it was passed. You can go back and you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody. The president is using his authority as commander-in-chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments. And so with taking this action, it ensures that large numbers of people who wrongly would be getting birthright citizenship will no longer be eligible for those benefits. The second action that he's taking, which is especially historic, is for the first time ever in American history to ban birth tourism. So I want you to really let that sink in. This has been something that people have talked about not only for years, but for decades. The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen, leave our country, and then have a U.S. citizen child. It gives them access under this broken system to welfare benefits, ultimately to the voting booth, and all the other rights and privileges that belong solely to Americans. So that practice of birth tourism is, as of the signing of this order,
I'm gonna tell y'all again, black people, y'all need to stop feeling sorry for other races of people who do not give a damn about you. They're coming over here taking all of our benefits. I sold cars for 6 years. All the foreign people who are coming from below the Texas border literally used to get grants to get vehicles. They used to come inside the dealership, come get a buyer's order, and they would come back with a U.S. Treasury check. If you look up the numbers, Google it right now, 40% or more of the children's SNAP benefits in America are going to Hispanic people. Over 40%. The money that your ancestors picked cotton for, like Trump said, with birthright citizenship, that was meant for slaves. But all these other people are coming from all these other countries taking advantage of the rights that our ancestors earned, of the money that we were supposed to get. They're getting the reason why they're saying that all the EBT money and all that stuff is spent up. When you apply for EBT, they ask you on the application what your race is. These people are putting that they're black on these applications. They're not putting that they're Hispanic. They're thinking they're not going to get it. So the numbers are misconstrued. All the grants, you see all these people, you go to a Mexican neighborhood, everybody over there has a van with a ladder on it. Everybody has a pickup truck. There's a reason these people are getting grants. They're getting grants. They're taking advantage, getting all the benefits of our country. They're getting business grants. How do these people start restaurants, opening up apartment buildings, and doing all this stuff? How are they getting all this money on work visas? How is this happening? And you guys are feeling sentimental for these people who literally came over here and took advantage of this country. A lot of them are getting paid under the table and aren't paying taxes that we're paying for. So now our country is running up debt, and y'all are defending them. That's crazy.
Birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment has always been about foundational black Americans. Case closed, no debate. But they try to find loopholes in it the same way they try to find loopholes in the civil rights era, the same way they try to find loopholes in our rallies, our protests, and our marches, the same way they're trying to find loopholes right now with reparations. Everything that immigrants do has to be funneled through what Black Americans have created. Everything from the United States of America to a reparations paycheck. Birthright citizenship is for foundational Black Americans. Immigrants want to get in on it. Civil rights were for foundational Black Americans. Immigrants want to get in on it. Reparations is for foundational Black Americans. Immigrants want to get in on it. There's this whole system that has been created where you take things that Black Americans have created and then you try to hand it off to all these other groups. And when foundational Black Americans say hail to the gnaw and we snatch it back because we delineate, everybody cries foul. Well, your ass gonna be shedding some tethered tears because we don't give a damn. This is our house. This is our time, and what we say goes. And if we shut you down in the process, you just gonna be shut down and you gotta live with it. If you name everything that Black Americans have done, if you name everything Black Americans have created, it all goes back to the excellence of our country, but don't nobody ever want to put the spotlight on that. That's fine, because we going to put the spotlight on it, and everybody knows our spotlight shines brightest amongst everybody's. And all we doing, family, is that we putting a twist on it. Each brother and sister, king, queen, goddess, and God, and we doing it our way. They cannot see us, not at all. They can try, but they're going to fail. And everybody always fails when they come up against us.
Black Americans need to be heavily invested in this birthright citizenship conversation because we only have citizenship as a result of the 14th Amendment. And I know that there are segments of Black Americans that believe that we grew here like cornstalk. But if you're paying attention to the Supreme Court conversations that have been had today, they do not give a damn about indigeneity and have gone so far as to question Native folks. And if tribal indigenous folks can claim U.S. citizenship on their own land. I did a video last year, particularly talking about the Dred Scott decision of 1857. And if you're watching this on TikTok, you can look at my caption for that video. And I was talking about how the Dred Scott decision, which was a Supreme Court decision, tells you what you need to know about how they feel about us being here. Chief Justice Robert B. Taney said that Black people had no rights that a white man was bound to respect. That the Declaration of Independence naming that all men were created equal was not for us. And that ultimately servitude was our place as Black people in the United States of America. Then you can absolutely recognize that no matter how many times they talk about illegals gaining citizenship, they don't want Black people to have it either. I find it odd that in this time, Black people will be trusting anything white men have to say. When the reason we have a whole ass Juneteenth is because people in Galveston, Texas weren't even told that they were emancipated. And also, it's not a matter of them stripping away our citizenship in order to ship us wherever around the world. It is their goal to have us in a continuum of servitude.
There's only two groups of people in this country that did not immigrate here: natives and African American descendants of slaves. So ending birthright citizenship would have ensured that there are only two groups of people in this country that are actually citizens because they did not immigrate: Native Americans and African American descendants of slaves. That's the level of incompetence and ineptitude you're dealing with this administration. In their quest to end birthright citizenship, they would have ensured that the only actual American citizens were natives and African American descendants of slaves. In fact, birthright citizenship was created to give newly freed slaves citizenship because they had no country of origin to return to. Because I don't know if you know, but when we were brought here to this country on ships as property, the origins of where we came from were destroyed so that we could not connect to our roots with another home country, so that we didn't have that home pride that every immigrant group did, so that we couldn't carry that tradition and stories with us. And we were branded property in America. And then once our time as property, human property of other humans ended, we were granted citizenship because there was nowhere else for us to go. We don't know where we're from in Africa. We're not African. We are American. And our parents were born here, and our grandparents were born here, and our great-grandparents were born here, and so on, ever since we've been considered human in this country. Your effort to make sure nobody can vote but white people almost made sure nobody can vote but Black people and natives. You almost made sure that Black people and Native Americans are the only citizens in this country. And I, for one, would have loved to see that. It would have been hilarious. It would have been better for everybody because those are the two groups of people who, anyway, we're not going to do that. But yeah, this close. This close.
If you don't like Trump, get the fuck out of America. Trump said birthright citizenship is only for fucking Black people. Native Americans always being disrespectful to Black people, talking about we ain't indigenous to America, but I'm finna bust your fucking bubble. And in 1924, Indian citizenship was signed into law, granting U.S. citizenship to all natives born in America, because you're not fucking indigenous. And the Trail of Tears happened in 1830 through 1850. That's 20 fucking years, meaning that y'all went through 20 years of bullshit with the Europeans when they came to fucking America. And the Underground Railroad, far as black people, happened from the 1700s to the end of the fucking Civil War, ending in 1865. So we went through centuries of problems with European people burning down our ancestors' houses, businesses, farms, stealing our goats, cows, sheep, every goddamn thing that we worked hard for. Manslaughter, being hung. We went through so many motherfucking things. But your people only went through 20 years and not one was hung. You just went through 20 years trying to fight for some shit that wasn't yours. You went through 20 years walking down Trail of Tears, crying and bitching because y'all wanted our land. Y'all wanted our history. And y'all signed motherfucking government contracts to live on Indian reservations to have our motherfucking history. Stop saying all black people come from fucking Africa, because the blacks that's in America is not fucking African. If you look on the job application, it say black or African American. Us in America is black. Africans that come over from Africa to America is considered African Americans. You dumb fuck. Just like on the job application, you can see it say Native American or Alaska Native. The so-called Native Americans are truly Alaska Natives. That's why they live with teepees, Eskimos and shit. Just look it the fuck up. Real Indians had houses. Real Indians had shit that the white man wanted. And that's why black people, houses, businesses, and shit was burned down. That's why we was enslaved, because we were good at building. We was good at farming. We was good at crop. We was good at all that shit. And they needed us to do the shit. And on top of it, look at the skin. We can stand the sun. The sun love us. God love us. So guess what? We're going to use God chosen people that can stand the sun, that don't get burned up, to get out here and work this motherfucking field.
Hey, what's up, y'all? So I want to talk a little bit today about the Supreme Court ruling that our Supreme Court upheld today regarding the interpretation of birthright citizenship. And if this content makes you uncomfortable, you can keep scrolling. It's fine. Not for you. Today, the United States Supreme Court ruled to uphold the interpretation of birthright citizenship as it stands. The current interpretation says that anyone born on the United States soil, regardless of their parents' status, is a citizen. Now, let me tell you why Black Americans have a stake in this conversation. As foundational Black Americans indigenous to this soil, we understand that the interpretation of the 14th Amendment was not written as an incentive for immigration. It was written for the descendants of enslaved Black Americans, whose humanity had to be written into law to shore up our rights here as indigenous peoples of the land. What's happened over time is that a protection for us has been reinterpreted as a loophole, one that has been used as an immigration incentive by foreign nationals, by corporations. It's actually a business model. There's literally whole businesses that sell citizenship. Come have your baby over here, become a dual citizen. That exposed a few things for us as we looked through this. There are literal companies that will charge a foreign national tens of thousands of dollars to come here and have a baby on U.S. soil. So now that child becomes an American citizen. Well, that highlighted this is a national security risk, and this ruling leaves that intact. When countries, some of which are not our allies, can come here and pay to birth citizens on our soil, it's not really an immigration conversation anymore. It is a national security one. Again, this ruling leaves that intact. And we were hoping that this push would narrow that Today it didn't. And I'm not going to pretend it's not a somewhat disappointing, but I played Division I basketball and I captained teams at really high levels. I've also been an HR executive and led global teams. And I learned early not to measure a team by any loss. You measure by what you learn. Any setback is actually where we want our focus to be, because that shows us a lot. That gives us visibility to the actual issues. This showed us how many people have benefited from a protection that was never really meant for them. It also showed us how much work still remains on our path to protected class status. And it reminded us why delineation is not optional. It's absolutely necessary and healthy. And it also showed us the security risks that we face as a nation when we allow misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment. And here's what we'll continue to hold on to as a lineage. This ruling doesn't touch temporary protected status rollbacks. Haiti and Syria already in motion. It doesn't stop this nation looking at our immigration policies with a much more forensic lens. The larger accountability conversation is not over because of today. These are all steps in the right direction. And the most important movement, the one that cannot be overruled, is the movement happening within us as a lineage. The awareness, the waking up, the refusal to be redefined yet again. This is ancestral memory for us. This lineage has been here before. We've taken hits before, and we're still here. We don't flee, we don't run, we fight. Our civic engagement is unmatched. So this isn't the end of anything. This is actually the beginning. Lineage intact, eyes wide open, and moving forward with intention. So keep going and stay focused. Be honest.
A whole lot of people thought that birthright citizenship was going to fail, okay? However, it did not fail. Okay, so if you are born in the United States of America, you are a birthright citizen. That is the ruling of the Supreme Court. And that is what so many of Black American forefathers fought for way back in the day, okay? Because back in the day, they were trying to base it on race and race alone. However, it's not based on race alone. It's about the fact you're born here, okay? And contrary to what many people believe, Black Americans and white American abolitionists and politicians who were on the right side of history decided that early on. They were like, no, we're going to fight for birthright citizenship instead of it being based on race. Because if, in fact, they were to base it on race, they would have only let white folk be citizens, to be quite honest. They would have based it all on race. But now that I mentioned birthright citizenship and how the Supreme Court just upheld birthright citizenship and how this has been a long ongoing fight to get it way back in the day for Black Americans and white Americans who stood on the side of birthright citizenship, I want to talk about that because I ran into a comment and people didn't understand how Black Americans actually co-founded the United States of America, and this was one of the challenges that Black Americans actually took part in. There is absolutely nothing. Let me say this: there's absolutely nothing that took place in the United States of America good that Black Americans did not participate in. I'm gonna say this: the movie Roots has y'all screwed up. Okay. The movie Roots has y'all screwed up. Black Americans were doing more than just what you saw on Roots. Okay. If you care to even read the book I wrote on it, okay, Black Americans did everything in the United States of America the same way as white Americans did, okay? There's no white people can do this, white people, Black people couldn't do this. No. As far as skill set, as far as surveying, as far as architects, engineers, Black Americans did the same exact thing as white Americans, and Black America actually did it more because we were enslaved. Okay, we did it more. So the founding of the United States of America was not just white folk. I just want to get that off. I just want to get that out there. It was not just white folk. It was Black Americans. There's nothing, when I tell you, I want y'all to understand this. Enslaved does not mean just working in the fields. We did everything. Everything. We did more, actually. We did everything. That's exactly why Black America can hold this nation together, because we know what to do. We know what to do. Okay? Black America did just as much and more for the founding of this nation in white America. So even when it comes down to birthright citizenship, it was Black Americans who freaking created that bad boy. Straight up. And I'm going to prove it to you right now, okay? If it were not for Black Americans, there would be no birthright citizenship. If it were not for Black Americans, there would be no birthright citizenship. That's facts. That's facts. All of what is going on in the United States of America is because Black Americans fought for it and made this country, our country, live up to what it's supposed to be. When you want to talk about the rulers of the good in America, you're talking about Black America.
In regards to this birthright citizenship stuff, I want to be clear. I never really talked about this and never really got down into the subject of this because I didn't understand what was occurring and why it was occurring. At the end of the day, the constitutional clause that talks about birthright citizenship 100% was meant to include, or was 100% meant to refer to the children of prisoners of war. Okay, it does not mean, and it did not mean at that time, that if somebody from Libya comes to America, that when they have a child, that they have birthright citizenship. It never did mean that, because at that time when that law was put into place, there were only Indigenous Americans and Caucasians, or Europeans rather. There wasn't a whole bunch of other people here. So it at the time, it addressed the conversation of the time, of the moment, right? So the issue that I have with immigrants coming in and trying to use that as like a catch-all type of umbrella clause for them is that they then are now pushing that means that they have the same rights as those who are indigenous to this land, one, which is Black Americans, who I'm specifically talking about, and those who actually created the system with which we currently live in, which are the people who conquered us at the end of the day. That's what happened, right? Right? So the issue comes in when they are, and see, this is what they're doing. They are trying to say that Black people are immigrants and we're immigrants, so we should be able to be treated and get the same rights as Black people. And it's just not the truth. We are not immigrants. We were already here. So the issue with this conversation is that it separates us from our birthright and our inheritance to the land, okay? And to, you know, to benefit from the system, you know, that was created from on our backs, and it really was. And so when the immigrants come here and they say, "Oh, this place was built on the backs of immigrants," no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. So, Black people, you got to pay attention to this, because actually, at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is they are trying to say that Black people are similar to immigrants, that we're the same, and we're not. We were indigenous to the land. We could never be the same. And I think we need to get a little bit ahead of this at the end of the day. I think instead of us even trying to play on this level field, because we are indigenous to the land, we have more capability and more power than we even know. And we need to start setting the tone for that. We need to start setting our own ground rules, because at the end of the day, it's getting out of hand. People who are coming from other places think that they have the same rights that you have. No, you have courtesies. There's a difference, right? You have courtesies. We've given you a courtesy. We've extended you a courtesy, okay? And we've given you some additional privileges, but those are not rights that you have. If you're an immigrant, that's just it. You're an immigrant. That means that we have given you courtesy. We have given you the courtesy to allow you to do certain things. That doesn't mean that you come over here and you start making the rules.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Furaha. If you're joining us for the first time, if you have never been to this channel before, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for making the time to watch the video, and especially watching the video to this point. I don't take that for granted, because I know it has taken you time and it has taken you a lot. You know, you could be doing any other thing, but you decided to be here. So I really do honor that, and I appreciate you for making that effort. Now guys, I hope that you have been keeping well from wherever you're watching me from. I hope that everything is smooth and slow where you are. So I have been well, and I'm happy to be back to make videos and have these discussions with you. Now guys, if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Be part of this amazing journey, amazing story. If you're interested in anything Black American, anything Black people, anything FBA, Foundational Black Americans, please consider being part of this channel by subscribing, be part of us, and also remember that you have the freedom to leave a comment in the comment section that you have below, so that we can know what you think about the video. You know, you have watched the video to this point, and I know you have gathered a few things here and there that you'd like to share with the public, and there's no fear of contradiction, there's no fear of being judged. Please feel easy to leave that in the comment section, and people will respond to you, have interactions. We are here to learn and relearn things, and that is most important. Now guys, on today's video we are discussing what President Trump has done with Black people. And I know these kind of videos get you a certain way, you know. People are always feeling like, why is he doing that? Why right now? Why him? Why us? You know, because, you know, Black people have not been used to President Trump fighting for them. They have not been used to being favored by President Trump, and that is why they have those kind of, you know, questions, and they're, you know, constantly thinking, is it in good faith? Is it something that we should even be entertaining? Is it something that is going to be against us later? Because that has been the norm. You know, Black people always have opportunities where it seems like they're being favored, where it seems like they're being helped, but in the long run it happens that it was all a trap. It was all, you know, them trying to make Black people, you know, get to a point where they are, you know, they're fixed, yeah, and to the advantage of the white man. Now, Black people are always questioning that, and it's not new to you that Black people don't feel comfortable and they do not welcome help when it comes to white people so easily, yeah? And that is really because these people have used that opportunity to take advantage of Black people for a very long time. You know, when you're talking about slavery and all that, the things that they did, they took advantage of the fact that Black people are innocent, and Black people sometimes are very open, and they can, you know, share a lot, and they are very willing to help. They're willing to understand humans are just humans. They have not internalized the fact that humans have the innate ability to just be hostile and be bad, you know, because Africans, Black people, are not created like that. It's not even about culture or how you have been raised in a certain environment. No, it's not about that. Black people generally are just, you know, that's just innately who they are. They will welcome you, they will welcome your ideas, but then what they do not remember most of the time is the fact that there are people that are innately evil that will just take advantage of you now. After they have been taken advantage of, for example, when you're looking at the times of slavery and the things that they have encountered under the leadership of the white man, and to get to the point where they now feel like they have to be cautious about everything that is happening around them. They have to be sure about the surrounding. That's why they're asking themselves, why is he supporting us now? Why now? Why us? Why this time? You know, because the white man has proven to them that every time they get any kind of support, any kind of good news from the white man, it has to always turn and become something really evil at the expense of the Black people. Now, the one thing that I note from this, and the one thing that I want to really commend, and I know most African people, most Black people from Africa have been affected, is the fact that, you know, most of them have been doing a number of these things that he has mentioned in that file. That, for example, let me talk about one that I am sure about, one that I have heard happening here and there. Now, a Black person from Africa or whatever countries, you know, Asia, someone from China, and let's just talk about immigrants or visitors going to America as tourists, yeah? They have been doing that for a very long time, where they go to America and they make sure that they're going there during the time when they can, you know, deliver their children. And this is especially for women. They go there as tourists, you know, they book for some time that they know their delivery, sorry, they are due that time, yeah? And they make sure that once they get there, they spend as much time as they can to make sure that this baby arrives when they're still there. Now, for many countries, and especially countries, for example, in Africa, this still stands that when you come to, for example, Kenya, where I come from, when you come here, you can get citizenship by birth. Now, if someone from America today lands in Kenya today, and they deliver a child tomorrow, that baby is automatically Kenyan. So it doesn't matter if the parents want it or not, the baby has dual citizenship, Kenya and from wherever else they come from. And that has been going on for quite some time. Now, it's not a problem and it's not a bad thing, but when people are now taking advantage of that and to, just exploit that opportunity to make sure that they are favoring themselves, and that is not even the problem. The problem is when you're doing all these things and not realizing that the people that have helped you to get that kind of opportunity, get that atmosphere, get that environment where you can even do that or think about it, is the Black Americans. These are the foundational Black Americans that have helped you to have that kind of access. They have helped you by fighting for the rights of Black people, for the rights of other people, yeah? They have made America not a white man's land. They have made America accommodative of everyone else. Now, for you to go there and exploit those kind of opportunities and get those advantages and not appreciate the fact that it's the Black Americans that have done this for you, that they're the ones that have fought for you. You don't appreciate them, you don't talk about it, you don't say thank you to them. Instead, you disrespect them, and they have a problem with that. And they're actually, they're where this is where you say, they're justified to do that. They're justified to feel the way that they feel, because this is utterly wrong. You don't go and benefit from the things that these people have fought for you for, and then you go ahead and also disrespect them. It shouldn't work that way, and it's not right. And I hope that people that have done that can realize that this is wrong, and they can apologize for the things that they have done. And you see, for that reason, now they have blocked everyone else. The people that would have been thinking for that as an option. It's not going to happen now, because they have exploited the opportunity, and they have even made the Black Americans, the Black people in America, to just, regret that fight. It was all for nothing, because you fight for people that now come and disrespect you to your faces, the people that now want to come and work with the white man against you, that is not right. And I hope that they are mature enough to realize that was wrong, and make amends with that. Now guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing, be part of us, be part of this amazing story, amazing journey. And thank you for the people that have subscribed to my channel, those that have been here since day one, those that just joined us. Thank you so much for always choosing to be here with me. And I don't take that for granted. Thank you so much. Now, guys, I hope that you're also keeping safe from wherever you're watching me from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Guys, I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.